A bump from 2.7% to 3.5% on our current numbers this year would net us an extra $750,000. Has anybody read $100 million Money Models yet by Alex Hormozi? So I was listening to it this week and I started thinking, what are we doing wrong with our commission offers, right? Because we are selling a service when we go out to get these listings. And we know that a lot of agents like to say stupid things like industry standard, even though we know there's not a standard anymore. And there really never was. But then the other reality is that now we're not offering buyer commission up front, right? Is anybody offering buyer commission up front still on their listing agreements? Christine says yes. What is your MLS doing and why? Why are you offering commission up front? I'd love to hear just the feedback on that.
Well, it's not on the MLS. We cannot put it on the MLS.
Okay.
So I have the discussion with the sellers prior to listing, and they agree to 3%. And it helps to advertise it, and so we can advertise it everywhere. And, we can even put it on the keychain that goes on the key in the lockbox, 3%. And it does help to sell.
Are you still getting calls in your market with agents saying, hey, how much commission are you paying?
Yes, I am. But I don't ever have that conversation with other agents. I just submit. And I do have the other agents say, oh, hey, we're offering 2.5%. And I said, well, I work at 3. Would you mind asking?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, guys. If an agent in your market tells you, hey, I'm offering blank. I don't care what it is, just a number, 2, 2.5, 3. Do you care? I don't care now. I don't care what you tell me. You can tell me it's 0. You can tell me it's 1. You can tell me it's 3. What are you going to ask for? Regardless, you're going to ask what's on your buyer brokerage agreement. The reality is we'll get to that piece because the buyer side is negotiable regardless. But what got me into this rabbit hole this week was Alex Hormozi talking about $100 million money models. And so let's do some quick math for you real quick. Remember, most of us are not doing buyer commission up front. So it's a blank slate. So whereas we used to sign listing agreements at 6% a lot of the time, or maybe 6.5, 7, maybe 5 if it was a discount. Now most of our listing agreements we're signing at 3% or industry standard 2.7. So the reality is we're already going in and writing a number that's half of what we were writing on listing agreements a year ago. So is it really that unreasonable to think that we can get people to write at 3.5% rather than 3 when they were used to signing at 6 a year ago? Here's the mental behind this, and I want y'all to think about that, what this means for your actual paychecks. The industry average is about 2.7%. So I started doing some math from 3 to 3.5%. If you're already getting more than the industry average, that's a 16.6% pay increase from going from 3 to 3.5. If you're able to go from like 3 to 4, it's a 33.2% pay bump. But let's work from the average, because I think most of you guys are typically at about a 2.7% average commission. So I ran the math on this, and the math is for at least just our team, a bump from 2.7% to 3.5% on our current numbers this year would net us an extra $750,000. That would have been the net this year if we had just done what I'm about to tell you guys this year instead of next year. Now, next year, we've been growing at a rate of about 15%. If you look at the industry, 25% of agents have left the industry in the last 12 months. The stagnant agents are in the struggle bus right this second. So you may be one of those struggle bussers. It's okay if so. And the top agents are actually up 15% on average. So I also ran the numbers there. So at a 15% bump, if everybody on our team does what I'm about to tell them to do, we will net an extra $855,000 next year in net commissions compared to what we did this year. Guys, that is a drastic bump. I want y'all to think about that in relation to whatever your income is. Because for our team, it's an extra $500,000 to my agents, not just to me. That's a $500,000 that I spread out to you guys. So Galen, Mustafa, Khalid, right? All you guys, Elizabeth, Derek, I see you guys that are on my team that are on this call. Chang, keep this in mind because this is a 30% hit pay bump for you. And if you don't do this, it is your fault. I promise, because I'm going on the listing appointments and I already started doing this, and it's like everybody's like, okay, great. They don't even care. So I'm telling you guys, if you can get the mental around how you're going to explain this, you're going to do great. So the first thing that Alex talked about that I really liked was anchoring high. Now, we've talked about this before on calls about price point. Who should be the first person to recommend the price on the home? The seller on the listing appointment or the listing agent? Who speaks the price first? Anybody?
Listing agent.
Perfect. Anybody else?
Seller.
Mustafa says seller. So we're 50-50 split right now. What do y'all think?
I say seller.
All right, we got a second for a seller. Anybody else? I see seller, 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 seller. Oh, I see a listing agent. I recommend. Okay. We have more seller guesses. I'm going to throw out there, you're wrong. Now, we always try to do this, right? Don't we? What's in our mental? I got to know if this person's crazy or not, right? I got to know if this person's reasonable. I don't want them to say a number that's higher than I have in my head, right? Do I have to try to rework this conversation? But if you let the seller goes first, what happens if their price is much higher than the actual comp? Who just anchored the price? The seller did. So the best thing you can do is give them the price that you were thinking of. And now you set the anchor. But see, we're talking about commission. So how do we anchor a higher price point or a higher commission point? How do you hire or anchor the higher commission than 2.5 or 3?
You give them options, like a menu option
Of
like 3, 4, 5.
Perfect. There you go. So here is our menu. Now for my team, here's the change. You'll notice if you had this previous menu that I had 3% on our essentials package. I no longer have 3% as our essentials package. I have it at 3.5%. Then we have 4%. Then we have 5%. Then we have 6%. So here's the thing. So many of our team that had this model, this commission compensation option, and some of you have probably been on our call where we shared this before. So if you've been on our calls and you've seen this before, it's great. It's evolving. That's why we're doing this today. That's why we're reteaching this and we're making it better, and we're showing you how to actually make sure you're going to get more money next year and not just sell everybody on the essentials. Because when we used to do this, it was like, hey, great, we have 3, 4, 5, 6. Guess what? If somebody doesn't want 6 or 5, they're fine to land at that 3, because the reality is they know, okay, they're not going to shop me under 3. That used to be our logic. Our logic was like, here are your options. Yeah, we negotiate. We do 3, we do 4, we do 5, we do 6. The reality, though, is that most people are going to jump on that cheap option anyways. One of the things that we used to do is we kind of start at 3 and then we work our way up. And by the time you get to 6, people are like, I don't need any of that. So here's the thing. You're going to anchor them at the 6, and then you're going to work your way back down. Because remember what we talked about. If you can anchor a higher price point, then what's going to happen is as you come cheaper, their attitude gets better. They're happy. Same thing if we were to anchor a price point that's maybe lower than they anticipated, that's our anchor to be able to convince them that this is what they should be going to. So here's the reality. We're talking about anchoring first. So the first thing we're doing when we show this, when they say, what's your cost? We don't go over this on the phone. You're going to do this on the listing appointment. You're not going to do this before you get to the house, right? If somebody says, what do you cost? You let them know we have a variety of different costs depending on what you need. We can talk about that in person. When's the best time for us to meet? This is for the end of your listing appointment. You've already gone through your marketing. You've gone through comps. You've gone through all of the things. The last thing should be this, because you've already sold yourself on your value. Now it's just a matter of signing the deal and putting the commission in. So we bring this out now and we say, okay, 6% is our elite package. Now remember, what are the people already used to signing at? They're used to signing at 6%. So the reality is this is where we go to the next step that we talked about. So we talked about anchoring. You're going to anchor that 6 first and start working your way back. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to unsell. Has anybody ever heard of unselling? Magley says yes. What is unselling?
So you list everything and then you say, well, for you and your situation, like you don't need all of this. Like this makes more sense. And it's usually like the middle package, not the essential package.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. And again, The problem is that a lot of times we start at the cheapest thing. We anchor the 3, or maybe some of you are anchoring less. And then you're like, oh, let me unsell you on all this stuff up. And then you're like, well, why am I going to move up if you just unsold me and I could stay down here, right? So that's why you're going to anchor the 6% first, and then you start unselling. So what does our 6% get? Hopefully you guys can see my screen. I know it may be a little small depending on what you're watching on this, but everything that you get from all of the smaller packages, in addition to, we will pay for them to move if they're moving within the area. Now, if they're moving from Virginia to California, obviously that's not something that we can do. But if they're moving locally, we will pay for their move. We can cover their contracting cost up front when needed, right? Some people may need a roof. Some people may need carpets. Some people may need, just fix-up repairs or paint. A lot of that stuff we can pay for, or we can get the billing pushed to when they go under contract with our contractors, which means we're still not having to come out of pocket with it. Another thing we do, no buyer's agency commission fees on your next purchase if any are owed. Now, is that saying we're not getting paid on the buy side? No, because remember, what are we doing? We're going to ask for our commission on that buy side. We're going to have that buyer brokerage agreement. But what we're letting people know is, sir, ma'am, we almost always get our commissions covered. It's very rare that our clients have to pay on the buy side. But if for any reason we get into a negotiation scenario where they start countering this commission down from that 3% or whatever your rate is, we will make sure that you do not come out of pocket for the difference. Are you willing to make that offer to somebody that will give you 6% on a listing? Yeah, why wouldn't you? It's a no-brainer. So here's the thing. If they're moving out of state, we're not going to pay for it. If they don't need contracting, then what do we start doing? Do we start unselling? Magley, I know you're going to move here locally, so it sounds like we're probably going to need some movers, and we'd love to be able to help you with that in our elite package. But I noticed here that you don't really need to worry about any contracting. Your house is beautiful. It's ready to go. So we're going to cross that off the list, but let's keep that piece of the move for your, the pay for your move right now, because you do need that out of elite. Let's bump down to the pro package though. We're offering that if you want to go out of town for the first weekend that we're listed, or the first week, 4 or 5 days, we'll actually pay for you to get a nice hotel somewhere. We can send you down to the beach. We can send you to the mountains. We can put your dog in doggy daycare. We're also going to pay for a move out clean. We're going to power wash your home. And again, we can help get you quotes on whatever you need. But again, you didn't need that contractor. Your house is great. I don't think it needs power washing. The move out clean, you definitely need. How do you feel about that weekend getaway? And again, now she can tell me, I don't think we really need that. We don't really have a dog. The kids are fine. We're fine to just, hang out Saturday and Sunday and get out. Okay, no worries. But you see what you're doing? You're slowly but surely anchoring from the top. You're unselling the stuff they don't need. You can step down. Now, what happens if you get down to, say, the enhanced, and they say, well, I'm already living here, so if they're living there, can we stage their house? No, right? You don't stage a house that's being fully lived in. Maybe a consultant to come in and give them some pointers, but a stager's not putting their furniture in a house that someone lives in, right? But now if somebody says, I could use the move-in out clean, I could use the pre-clean, and I could use someone to help me pay for my move, well, what do you think we do at that point, guys? What would you do? And while someone's waiting to answer, Karen, it's not a dumb question, but no, this is 6% to us. We are not offering anything to buyer's agents in any of these scenarios. That's the whole point. You cannot pay for someone to move, pay for their contractor costs, pay for their move outs, pay for their power washing at 3%. That's insane talk. We're anchoring them down to 3.5% to us at the bare essentials without doing anything else, right? But not 3. The buy stuff gets totally negotiated separately. But what would you guys do? If somebody says, I could use something out of elite, I could use something out of enhanced, what do you think happens at that point, everybody? Cindy says 4.5% to pick and choose between the options for a custom package, a la carte. That's it. So now this is where you guys get to do your work and say, you know what, you're right. You don't need everything that's in this pro package in elite, right? But obviously you're trying to get things that are above the essential package. Well, our essential package is 3.5%, but it does sound like you're going to need that move out. And it does sound like you could, maybe handle some staging photos or some power washing. So why don't we do it at 4.5%? See, now what did you do? You just put your commission way up from 3. We're talking about just getting you to an average of 3.5. But if you can do this on 10, 20, 30 30% of your listings, then you could easily start seeing 4, 4.5, 5 on a lot of these listings. The other reason I built this out the way that I did this is this. If somebody in the enhanced needs free home staging, that means we have to come in and furnish their house. Can I pay for them to move as well? Give me some logic here, guys. If I stage a house, am I gonna have to pay for them to move?
No.
No, why? Because the house is freaking empty, guys. The house is empty, right? So if the house is empty, I can't help you move if I'm staging it. You get what I'm saying? So the logic behind a lot of this is that it's enhanced for them to pick and choose and say, I don't need this or I don't need that. And it's also designed to make sure you guys don't lose a bunch of money paying for all these ancillary services, because you're not going to have to pay for a lot of ancillary services. If they don't live in the house, can I send them away for the weekend? Of course not. Do I have to do a move out clean? Not really. You get what I'm saying? If they're living there, there's going to be some stuff that they may need. And if they're not living there, there's going to be some stuff that they may need. But a lot of that stuff doesn't overlap. So the reality is that this should only cost you a negligible amount of money out of your pocket, maybe $1,200 to $1,800 on a moving crew for the day, maybe $1,500 to $1,800 on a stager, maybe $45 for some virtual staging, $300 for a move out clean or a move in clean. So it's not to say you're not going to put a little extra into this, but if you're putting extra into this, it's because you've moved into the 4, 4.5, 5, 6% territory. Does that make sense? Because at the end of all of this, if they say, well, I don't really need this, and I don't really need that, and everything that you've done for the marketing sounds so good because you've sold us on all of your services, I really think the essentials is all we need, then now what have you done? You pulled them from 6 to 5 before, all the way back down to 3.5, and then you let them know, due to everything that we've done with our marketing, we're gonna work and do our best to negotiate the buyer's commissions at contract for you as well, so that you actually end up coming out less out of pocket should you pay a different agent. So if you have another agent that's out there saying they're gonna do it for 2.5 to 3, they're not doing any of the stuff that we just went over as far as our marketing plans, our marketing, our budgets, our open house schedules, everything like that. So we're already crushing them there, but they probably told you that they want 3% and then you're gonna give 3% to a buyer's agent. What I'm telling you is we're gonna go above and beyond for you, and at the end of the day, we're gonna try to negotiate the commission on contract for you as well, so that hopefully you put out about the same amount of commission that you put out with another agent, if not less, when we're said and done. Thank you so much for tuning in to one of our weekly training calls. Obviously, you caught the recorded session, but if you're interested in catching any of our live sessions that we do them typically on Mondays. I'm going to put the link below. So if you want to join any of our trainings live so that you can participate, so you can comment, ask questions, feel free to come. This is for our EXP group that we have here, our Omega group of agents, but it's open to anybody that wants to join, really. So if you're looking for coaching, if you're looking for training, feel free to hit that link below, and we'll see you on one of our live calls.